Dress as if you're gonna hold Erica accountable, and then tomorrow do the opposite. Hey y'all, welcome to my channel. I am Raphael and I'm here to review episode 13 of The Real Detectives of Beverly Hills. So we start the episode right where we left off with Scooby-Doo and the gang. We got Freddy, Velma, Daphne, and Shaggy, and they're all investigating everything that's going down. Sutton continues to explain to the group that she wants no parts of this. She wants nothing to do with Erica. She doesn't even feel really comfortable being around Erica for the most part because she has a lot to lose. And she keeps explaining to them like, listen, I have money. I'm part of so many charities. I'm part of so many organizations. I'm part of the caring committee, like everything. So, obviously I understand where Sutton is coming from. You have so much to lose. You don't want to be around people or let alone risk it all on a friendship that could possibly take you down as well as everything you also worked for, But then we have Lisa. Lisa's like, how dare you worry about your reputation? Can't you see our friend is possibly a criminal and is going to jail for things that she possibly did and we're supposed to cover up for her? How dare you only worry about yourself and your reputation? And then Sutton's like, well, aren't you worried about your reputation as well? And Lisa's like, no. Like, that goes to show you how much of a person she is. Like, what? Like, you're willing to go down with Erica for what? I mean, technically, her reputation is already in the garbage, so she really doesn't have much to worry about. But at this point, I'm convinced that Erica must have something on Lisa, because the way Lisa was just like, listen, I am Erica's soldier. I'm going to fight for her. I'm going to war for her. And nobody's going to come between us. Not even my own reputation, Sutton. Lisa is just so upset about it. And you could tell that she looks so stuck in the situation. Like, she's just sitting there in her fur coat like, fuck, how can I take control of this whole narrative? Like, Lisa is so upset that Sutton is just not budging. And she's like, only queens and princesses are worried about their reputation. I'm like, Lisa, what world do you live in? I mean, Sutton is not backing down either, because Sutton's like, well, I care about me. I care about Sutton first. I care about my bad style before Erica Jane. And Lisa just cannot control that. And then here comes Dorito. And Dorito's like, I don't want any of our support for Erica to, be twisted into a way that we, incorporate or that we support all these crimes, because that's really not what I want to do here. And I gathered legal advice. And then we flash back to her legal advice of Boy George and her husband. I'm like, what? Because apparently Sutton got legal advice, and that's why she's coming with all the receipts, and she's just jotting everything down. She's just reading everything to the women. I'm like, damn, Sutton came prepared. Kyle also said that she got some legal advice from a friend, and I'm like, okay, so we're putting all of this out now, right? Doris said that she doesn't want to be twisted with, having support for Erica as well as having support for the crimes, right? She wants to put both things in separate categories. But then she does a whole different twist later on in the episode. And then Sutton continues on, and she says that the story that Erica told them at their trip last week, it feels kind of like, are you deflecting everything? You're trying to put the situation off from the money to something else, because now all of a sudden he has a car accident. He was in a coma for like 12 hours. He was unconscious. And now he has mistress over there. He has a mistress over here. He has a mistress in his closet. So everybody in the group is slowly trying to unweb these lies, and they're all actually coming together with it. But Lisa, again, Lisa's just looking stuck. She's just like, should I promote my lip kit right now? Like, should I deflect that? Like, what's going on here? I don't know what to do anymore. Like, so let's talk about Harry. But then Kyle makes a good point by stating, well, if Erica did have a play in the whole situation and she in fact knows of what's going on and she's just playing dumb, she's obviously not going to confess in front of all these cameras, in front of all these witnesses, in front of us. She's just going to continue burying Tom in these lies and in these cheating scandals until her name is squeaky clean and Tom is all covered in dirt. And then Lisa had the nerve. Lisa's like, wait. Did y'all believe everything that Denise said last season? Now, Lisa, I know you're not the one talking. Cut it out. Like, what? Like, does she hear herself? Even in her confessional, she's like, I know a lot of people are going to be upset at me because, last season I was just all over with Denise, and now this time I'm protecting Erica. Yes, we're all trying to figure that out. Like, why are you so up Erica's ass? Like, what does she have on you? Does she know the password to your lip kit or something? Like, what's going on? Like, does she know the password to your Facebook? What does Erica have on you that has you in a chokehold? Because it's obviously not just your friendship. I know to you, friendship doesn't mean much, because if it did, you wouldn't have attacked Denise Denise, your so-called long-term friend, the way you did. So all the friendship thing to me is a bunch of BS. So the group agrees to ask all of these questions that they have amongst each other to Erica in person later on in Kyle's Christmas dinner. And then we head over to Garcelle and her family. And I just love that the whole time period of this episode is Christmas. I mean, there's Christmas trees, Christmas hats, Christmas cookies, Christmas lights. Like, everything about this episode was Christmas. Garcelle and her family just seems like they have a true bond and a true connection, and they just have a lot of love for each other. And sometimes that's a hit or miss with the families on the Housewives franchise, because sometimes I'm like, oh, okay, this is getting kind of annoying. Can we get on to the next scene? But I actually don't mind seeing Garcelle and her family. Like, I love to see their bond. And then, thankfully, we only get a 10-second scene with Doormat and Kyle's FaceTiming her. And the only time we ever see Doormat is when she's getting glammed up at this point. I mean, we never see anything else. It's always her just, yes, I'm gonna look like a Barbie and that's it. That's all I'm here for. Then Kyle announces that Teddy Bear is gonna be coming, like it's some big thing. And you could see that Doormat was just so stuck. She was just like, oh, well, that's good. That's great. If you really wanted to gag us, Kyle, you should have invited Denise. I mean, can y'all imagine if Kyle invited Denise behind everybody's back? And as they're grilling Erica later on at the dinner table, they're like, wait, we have one more person coming in to ask you questions. Denise? Like, can you imagine? And then we waste no time getting to Kyle's Christmas dinner, and we see her and her staff cooking and everything, and the food looks good. And Kyle's like, oh, well, I cooked some of it too. And I'm like, Kyle, no, you didn't. Like, we all seen what you're capable of in the kitchen at the beginning of the season. We seen that burnt fish on episode 2, 3, and I'm like, Kyle, stop it. This time around, Kyle has actually been really good with her fashions. I mean, her confessionals are really good. Even the outfit that she was wearing to her dinner right now was really good. She looks so pretty. I just love the jewelry combination with the hair that she usually does. And then we get Garcelle first, who arrives looking like a pretty loofah. And she's like, so is everybody else coming here? And Kyle's like, yes, everybody else is coming here. You know, we need to really rally around Erica because we need to get her fired. I mean, because we care about her and everything. You know, we really want the best for her. We want to support her. And because Andy told us to, and we have to do this for a paycheck. But anyways, and then Teddy Graham Crackers comes in, and you would think that she would come in with a lavish outfit, a beautiful dress, a nice gown, you know, something luxurious, something with glamour, you know, since she's not on the show anymore. But no, instead she looks like she's about to go film a Lana Del Rey music video. And the shade that Garcelle threw at Teddy's like, you know, I just kind of find her annoying. I think everybody else does too, Garcelle. So you're not the only one in that category. And then Lisa comes in, or should I say Heather. And I actually like the way she looked. I'm like, oh, she looks pretty like this. I kind of like it when Lisa switches up her hairstyle or she puts on a wig or whatever, because it actually suits her. I mean, if she would change her hairstyle a little bit, it really wouldn't be that bad. I mean, she looks really good, and I liked her new shoes that she also bought. I mean, they look like she could stab somebody with those, though. I'm like, damn, the heel was this tall, and it was so skinny. I'm like, okay, well, if you could walk in them, then I love it too. And then we get Dorit, Kathy, and Crystal arriving at the dinner. And of course, Dorit doesn't know how to open the door, but then again, it doesn't surprise me, especially from what she said last episode. She probably has somebody else always open a door for her, you know, somebody who works for her or whatever, that always opens doors for her. So I'm not shocked that she doesn't know how to open anything. And Kathy comes up with a new statement of, oh, I'm about to have a gorilla. I'm like, I think what you're looking for is I'm about to have a cow, but you know, whatever works for you. Crystal also looks really pretty. She looks really nice. She says she's wearing makeup for the first time or whatever, which you can never really tell because she comes off as a very natural, pretty woman. Then we get Dorit trying to make her infamous catchphrase a thing by telling Crystal, oh, Crystal, you have so much boob, baby. And I'm like, Dorit, please stop saying baby. It makes me cringe every single time she's like, baby, yes, baby. Oh my God, I need to go use the potty, baby. Oh, you look so pretty, baby. I'm actually surprised that Kathy didn't mistake Teddy as a baggage handler or something. Like, she didn't just give her jacket like, here, you can put it in the closet. And then Sutton eventually shows up and she starts mingling with all the other women. And of course, Erica's the very last one to come in. And I always wonder, so is that always planned, or is it production that tells Erica, okay, you're gonna be the last one invited, you're gonna be the last one to show up at any house or any event? Because it seems to be a pattern. I mean, the whole season, Erica's always the last one to show up at every event. So I wonder if it's pre-planned. Then here comes Lisa having the nerve to say, remember, she's innocent until proven guilty. Let's not question her too hard because everything's, you know, it's still a legal battle. And I'm like, Lisa, where was this energy with Denise? And what kills me about Erica showing up is that she shows up driving by herself instead of having a chauffeur or having an Uber or anything. Like, she shows up herself, and I'm like, Oh, there she goes again, trying to manipulate the viewers and everybody who's watching, like, oh yeah, look at me, poor as me, driving by myself. I don't even know how to put gas in my car, but here I am. Where should I park? Should I park on top of this tree? Okay, let me go. Woo! And I love how all the women were so fake and phony before Erica walked into the door. I'm not sure if y'all ever watched Scary Movie 1, where Brenda's walking and she's making fun of the other girl before she walks up to them. And all the other women before Erica, they were all like, oh, I can't stand that criminal bitch. Like, oh, she's so fake and phony. I bet she's going to jail and she's trying to drag us with us. Oh, here she comes. Hey, baby girl, how are you? Mwah, mwah. How are you? You look so pretty. Merry Christmas, I got gifts. You can just cut the tension with a knife. I mean, they're all sitting down in the living room waiting to go get seated at the dinner table to go eat. And Sutton tells Garcelle, so did you say hi to Erica at all? And Garcelle's just so nervous too. You could just see her twirling like, well, she winked at me, but I haven't spoken to her, and she hasn't spoken to me since, she blew up at me at the trip. And Sutton is like, maybe you should go over there and say hi. I'm like, Sutton, stop it. I'm not sure if it was Kyle's idea, Andy's idea, or somebody behind Bravo's productions team that had the idea of putting Sutton right next to Erica at the dinner table. I'm like, oh, that was a perfect move. And of course, the episode would not be complete without Erica's woe is me character coming out and jumping out as they're preparing the food on their plate. Kyle was like, well, thank you so much for coming out. I really appreciate this. And Erica's like, well, thank you so much for having me. I mean, it's not too many good times in my life right now, so I appreciate this very much. And Kyle and her rich woman laugh is just like, of course, Erica, I'm not just here for the good times. I'm here for all the times. Let's go get to eat our turkey. Let's go. We need to go be messy because we need to go grill you with a couple questions soon. And we finally have the Christmas dinner from hell. And they're all sitting down and they're toasting. They're like, cheers to you, Erica. Hopefully your 2021 is better than your 2020. And I'm like, we're like 4 months away from 2021 being over, and from what it's looking like, I don't think it's looking good for her, but that's just me. Erica's like, yeah, like, I wake up every single day thinking this is some type of dream. And this is where we get a glimpse of Doris' theatrics, because Doris like, you must be blindsided by it every single day. And I'm like, Doris, why are you so dramatic? She's looking so intensively at Erica like, so how do you wake up every single morning and you have new stuff in front of you? Like, how do you do that, baby? I mean, is it hard? This is just the beginning. This is just the beginning, my baby. Don't worry. It's gonna be fine, okay? You're gonna be a strong person. We're here for you, okay, baby? And then Sutton asks the $1 million question, and she looks over at Erica and she's like, but do you really not know anything? Are you really blindsided? I was shocked. When I tell y'all I was gagged, I was like this the entire time. I was like, she just asked this so upfront. I mean, that's what we wanted. That's what we wanted something to do. But I'm like, damn, let's see what Erica's gonna react. And Erica was caught off guard because you could just tell in her face. She kept her face expression really good together though. I mean, she held it together really well. And she was like, go ahead, ask the stupid question. Ask the question, go ahead. I'm sweating right now, but ask me anyway. And Santa's like, no, I just want to know, like, do you really not know anything? Are you really that oblivious? And she's like, look, I read the article. It said January 2020. And I'm like, I know that's right, Sutton. Tell them that you read the article and that you're smart. And then Crystal tags herself in and she's like, okay, Sutton, I got this. This is my turn. So my question is, this whole Alzheimer's situation that you got going on with Tom, so did it happen 3 years prior than what you're saying? Because, I had experience with that. And I just want to know. That's my question. And Erica's like, well, I mean, I don't know. It's only from what I've witnessed that I know of. I can only speak from experience that I've witnessed in front of me. And Sutton also asked about the burn victims, and Erica's like, well, that was 10 years ago, that's still under investigation or whatever. And she's like, I can't really talk about it. And then here comes Dorit. Well, it's okay because we just here to understand you and we're not really trying to pry anything from you, baby. We're just trying to, ask a couple questions, but we're on your side. And then Garcelle, Garcelle's like, that's not what you said the other night. I'm telling y'all, between Sutton and Garcelle, I was just shocked at everything that was going down. I'm like, oh my God, y'all are not letting Y'all are not letting your grip off of Dorit or Erica, and I'm all here for it because none of the other women are doing it, so somebody has to do it, and I'm glad that it's Garcelle and Sutton. And Dorit just looks so stuck. As Dorit was talking to Erica and she heard Garcelle say, "Oh, that's not what you said the other night," Dorit's face slowly went from like she's like, oh fuck. Which I don't even know why Dora would try to be a kiss ass in front of Erica when there's a reunion and this is being filmed. Of course they're gonna show you, earlier in the episode, like going off like, no, we need to get to the bottom of this. This is unacceptable. I am not here for Erica. And now you're like, oh, it's okay, Erica. I'm here for you, baby. Like eventually we're gonna see this. So I don't get why Dora just didn't stand on what she said earlier. But I guess she's scared of Erica now that she has her in front of her. So Dora is trying to clean up her image and she's just blaming it on Sutton. And she's like, look, Sutton, the one right there next to you, she's the reason why we all met up. She wanted to have this meeting and to talk about you or whatever. It was not me, it was Sutton, the woman right next to you. Go ahead and hit her. Sutton is trying to explain her case to Erica, and then Lisa jumps in and she's like, no, it wasn't we, it was you. And I'm like, wow. And then Kyle jumps in too. And she's like, no, you had a different outlook than us. Like, we did not have anything to do with what you had to say to us. And I'm like, that is not true. Like, we could rewind the tapes. Y'all were all on board on everything. Like, Sutton kind of convinced everybody that maybe what Erica is feeding y'all is a bunch of bullshit. And y'all were kind of like buying into what Sutton was saying. So now all of a sudden everything's turned and they kind of just threw Sutton underneath the bus. And then Lisa had the nerves again to say, oh, she left her spine at home. And I'm like, Lisa, you left your lips on Erica's ass the way you're kissing up to her so badly this episode. It's not like Sutton was backing down from what she was saying. She was standing her ground. I mean, I kind of wish she had a little bit more backbone, just a little bit more umph that she had at the beginning of the episode, because here she looked a little bit timid and a little bit scared. I mean, you're sitting right next to her, so you probably thought that you were going to get a champagne glass or something to the head. So Sutton slips up and she says that she got legal advice to, like, kind of go through Erica's documents. And Erica's like, wait, you had legal people talk about this with you? Like, what's going on here? And Garcelle was quick to, okay, Sutton, tag me in. Garcelle was like, wait a minute. I don't think she's the only one who got legal advice here at this table. And Erica asked everybody else, so who else got legal advice here? And everybody was just like, eventually, Dora and Kyle confess, and Erica just seems so disappointed. I mean, to Erica, she genuinely thought that she was just coming over for some turkey, and she left there with a bunch of grilled questions on her back because she came in like, okay, we're gonna have a nice Christmas gathering, and I'm gonna be able to tell my sob story, and then they just flipped everything on her. She was so caught off guard with everything. I mean, she was just so disappointed in Kyle and Dory. Like, wow, y'all really went and took legal advice for somebody else instead of believing my lies? How could you? And Lisa was quick to jump in again in Erica's defense. And she's like, Sutton, I really don't think that you believe that you don't think that Erica had involvement in this situation. I do think that you think that. Like, what's going on here? And Santa's like, well, let's ask about the 20 million elephant question in the room. And she's like, how did $20 million go into your LLC? I have a bunch of LLCs. Erica was just like, well, I mean, I had no control over anything. I really did not. I didn't get to see any of the paperwork or money. Like, I don't know where this money is. If somebody could point out where the money is, please let me know. And I'm like, ooh, I know where it is. I know where it is. It's in your closet, your cars, your jewelry, your shoes. It's probably in your back pocket. It's probably in your hair. Like, it's everywhere, Erica. Open up your eyes. Then here comes Teddy Bear and she injects herself into the conversation. And I'm like, who was talking to you? Like, you don't even have a diamond. I mean, yeah, we could let Kathy go because she's part of the show. But who are you again? Like, she was like, hey, I just want to say one thing. And she was fighting for all her might to try to insert herself into this situation to try to get on to the next season. And she's like, I'm pretty sure everybody at this table has had legal issues. And, I think that the real issue is that you think that she's lying to you or whatever. And I'm like, Teddy, please don't insert yourself in Housewives Holding Diamonds business because you're over there in a sundress. Please exit stage left quickly. If Lisa had to call anybody spineless this episode, it should have been Dora, because Dora's like, no, I cannot take too much of this questioning right now, baby. I need to stop right now. This question is too much. You are invading Erica's privacy and this is way too much. And I agree with Garcelle with what she said. She's like, well, now you're doubling down with everything you said at the beginning of the episode when everybody had the meeting. I'm like, Dora, Where was the same energy? You're just like Lisa with Denise. You don't have no type of energy that you had at the beginning of the episode when you were agreeing with everything that Sutton was saying, and you were trying to be this badass, like, yes, I'm gonna ask her this, this, and this. Don't worry. Like, you are so full of Louis Vuitton shit. And Garcelle's like, look, if this whole situation is true and Tom did what he did because I had a similar situation, then fuck Tom. And I'm like, ooh. And she's like, it's about the victims. And Erica, you could just tell that it killed her to say that. She was like, yes. She even added that because she was like, yes, it's about the victims. And yeah, the victims, they need to get their money. And Garcelle's like, finally, that's all I wanted to hear. And Erica's like, yes, that's exactly what it is. And Garcelle's like, well, I never heard it. This is the first time I heard this. And everybody was quick to jump in and it's like, wait, no, I said this before. I said this. I'm like, nobody has said anything about the victims. Eventually, Kyle pulls the plug on the dinner and she's like, let's go get dessert. So everybody gets up and goes to the other room. And then Sutton goes over to Dorrit. And in the nicest way possible, she's like, Dorrit, do you think that you threw me underneath the bus? I'm like, oh, that's such a nice way of asking such a brutal question, I guess. And Dorrit's like, no, what are you talking about, baby? I agree 100% with what you were saying, baby. And Sutton is like, well, it doesn't seem like it. And it really didn't. I mean, I wonder if Dorrit watches this episode at home, and she's like, oh, wait, I can see what they're talking about. Because Dorrit, you backtracked on everything. I mean, you literally were like a lion at the very beginning of the episode, and then all of a sudden you became a little kitty cat in front of Erica. And then Lisa was just over here like trying to protect her for some reason. And Kyle didn't have the same energy that she had at the beginning of the episode in front of Erica. I don't understand why these women are so afraid of her. I mean, at this point, I don't know what dirt Erica has on them, because one minute they're like, okay, we're gonna do this, but then the next second they end up doing something else. And the only people who are really holding Erica's hands to the fire is Sutton and Garcelle and Crystal, Charlie's angels. And Erica's like, look, I'm tired and everything. Me and my little schoolgirl outfit needs to go home right now and practice my script for tomorrow of what to lie about next. And so she eventually ends up leaving, but Sutton is like, wait, I have a gift for you. And I'm like, really, Sutton, after all those questions that you just did? She's like, here, it's just a little something, like, go ahead. Knowing her, it's probably like $10,000 inside a box or something, or bail money at that. And Erica, as she's leaving, she has her little monologue, and she's like, I don't know if it's because, there's a bunch of rats around me or something, or it's just, I need to weed out the fake and everything, and one day their time is gonna come where they see that it's all the truth. And I'm like, Erica, shut up and get in your car and go home. And that was the episode, y'all. But it's far, far from over, because as y'all remember in the trailer, we still have another dinner later on where Sutton is also sitting next to Erica, and Erica's mascara is running down her face, and she threatens Sutton. So it's far from over in this situation. But what did y'all think about this episode? This episode honestly had me on the edge of my seat, and I was gagged the entire time. I was just like this the entire time. I'm like, okay, you're asking one question. Oh my God, you're saying something else. Oh, you're asking another question. Like, the whole episode had me on the edge of my seat. But let me know what y'all thought about the episode as a whole. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And you can also follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Bye, y'all. Mwah.